Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2015, SB 106, first reading.
Nigerian Postal Services Act, Cap N127 LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2015, SB 106, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the fourth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Theodore Oji on the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contracts Act, CAO D3, Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill 2015. You may recall that we stood down this bill because we thought it's a duplication, but it is not actually duplication because it's a different section of the Act. Therefore, Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract Act, CAP D3, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2015, SB 119, first reading.
Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contracts Act, CAP D3, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2015, SB 119, first reading taken. The Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a report on the ethics and privileges and public petition on alleging cases of fraud against Right Honorable Chubuike, Rotimi, Amaechi. Mr. President, with your permission, we may wish to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges and Public Petition. So I'm about to make a report.
Senator Samuel.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Samuel Nnemeka Anyanwu. I represent Imo East in Imo State. I move that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions on a petition by Integrity Group alleging cases of fraud against Right Honorable Chubuike, Rotimi, Amaechi.
Senator David Mo, second motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is David Umaru. I represent the good people of Niger East. I rise to support the motion that the Senate do accept the report of the committee as explained by Senator Anyanwu. I so move.
Distinguished colleagues, that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition on the petition by the Integrity Group alleging case of fraud against Honorable Chubuike, Rotimi, Amaechi. Those in favor that the report is there say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Anyanwu and Leader. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting that this Senate resume the screening of persons listed on the order paper as ministers of the Government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in accordance Section 147(2) of the 1999 Constitution. The names are 1. Right Honorable Chubuike, Rotimi, Amaechi. 2. Distinguished Senator Helekin Opobiri. 3. Letus Omale Daramola. 4. Adewale Isaac Folorosho. 5. Baba Shewuri Mustafa. 6. Ocholi Enojo James Sam. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, please recall that the Senate concluded screening of 20 nominees for the ministerial appointment on Tuesday, 20th October 2015. Senate will now resume the screening of the remaining nominees. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, in order to carry out this exercise and in conformity with our Standing Order 17 on floor privileges, I will move 2 motions as usual. First, I move that this Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to conduct the confirmation hearing.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to support and second the motion that this Senate do resolve into the Committee of the Whole to commence the screening of the ministers.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do resolve to Committee of the Whole to conduct the confirmation hearing say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Secondly, Mr. President, I move that this Senate do suspend all relevant sections of our Standing Order to admit nominees and the Special Advisor to the President on National Assembly matters, the National Chairman of our Great New Change Party, the former presiding officer of the National Assembly, person of Right Honorable Bala Nala, Gali Abba, and other interested persons into the chambers. I so move.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion moved by the leader that this Senate do receive into chambers, suspend rules, the standing rules to admit the nominees and other interested persons, particularly the chairman of the second largest party in Nigeria, APC, into the chambers for the purpose of
point of correction, point of order.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do admit the nominees and the advisor to the President, the chairman of the APC, and the former Speaker, Ganaba, into the Senate chamber, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Sergeant Lambs will usher in the advisor and the first nominee into the Senate chambers.
Jumping from one place to another. The swing club.
It's a terrible thing. You can go back there, just leaving office for 1 month.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's out of hunger.
No integrity.
Please take your seats. Please take your seats. Senator Alaba Domingo.
No, they can't sit here now.
Please stop disturbing Senator Egba, now a member of the biggest party in Nigeria.
Alright, you sit down. Just a loss.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
Mutari?
Mr. Chairman, sir. The committee of the whole is set.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Distinguished colleagues, the first nominee we have was this morning is Honorable Chubuike Rotimi Amaechi. Honorable Chubuike Rotimi Amaechi, you're welcome. We have your CV. We want you to give us a brief introduction of yourself. If there's areas in your CV that you want to highlight or there are parts that have been omitted, please tell us. And then after that, we'll take a few questions.
Excellency, the President of the Senate, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Senate, Your Excellency, the Leader of the Senate, Your Excellency, the Minority Leader of the Senate and my former colleague, former Governor of Akwa Ibom State, the distinguished Senator George Sekibo, who happens to represent my senatorial district, distinguished Senator Laparogu, who has been my longtime friend. We were roommates when I was at the River State University of Science and Technology before I left for the University of Distinguished Senator Tango Didozo, who happened to be my former Commissioner for Finance when I was the Governor of Rivers State. Please forgive me, I forgot to recognize the distinguished leaders of the Senate and the very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My name is Chubuike Rotimi Amaechi. I hear I shouldn't say this, but I have to say it for history purposes. I happen to be one of the first Nigerians to have served as Speaker for 8 years. In the period I served as Speaker for 8 years, speakers were impeached almost on a regular basis. I have also served as the Governor of Rivers State under PDP. But by my second term, I was the Governor of Rivers State under APC. Good morning, distinguished senators. It is a rare pleasure to stand before you, and believe me, this is my first time of addressing the Senate, and I thank you, I thank the President for this privilege. Whether I become a minister or not, this will go in the history book of mine, that I once addressed the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But truly at the mercy of the Senate. And like you know, this is a hallowed chambers. And I'm deeply humbled and honored to have been nominated by the President and to have been given a chance to address you on what I thought or what I think will be the little contributions that I have made to the development of Nigeria. I have told you earlier that my name is Chubuike Rotimi Amaechi. I'm truly a Nigerian. But, and I said to you, I am the past governor, I'm the immediate past governor of Rivers State. Before then, I was Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly for 8 years, just as I was the governor for 8 years. And I had the privilege of also serving as the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum for 2 tenures too. Taken together, whether as governor or as speaker, these 2 career paths tell a story of public service. During my tenure as Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, we achieved a lot. Some key bills were passed, like the anti-kidnapping law and the Rivers State Schools Right. In this bill, and I drafted this bill myself, I felt pain that there were children who couldn't go to school. And I had to ensure that by this bill, that became a law, that children and parents and teachers had their rights and privileges, and the government had obligations to fulfill. However, my most fulfilling moment as Speaker was the passage of the Rivers State Schools Right bill. This bill clearly enunciated and defined the responsibilities of parents, teachers, and children to guarantee our children access to qualitative education. Education is not only qualitative, it must also be accessible. As governor, we inherited a state that was comatose, and in the throes of insecurity, Rivers State bore the 4th lines of the Niger Delta militancy. Our immediate task was therefore to restore security and improve the social and economic well-being of our people. Ours was a 2-pronged approach of physical and fiscal security. By physical, I mean putting money in the hands of the Rivers people. Whilst we confronted criminality and aggressive law enforcement measures, we embarked on what we call massive social and infrastructural development. They are there for the record purposes. We declared an emergency in education and guaranteed free and compulsory education up to secondary school level. During my tenure as governor, we awarded the construction of some over 500 primary schools, and we completed and furnished 314 of these to 100% completion, while others were partially completed by the time we left office in May 2015. We undertook the training and re-certification of teachers already in the service of the state and employed over 13,200 teachers. Our efforts and investment in the education sector did not go unnoticed, as Port Harcourt won the UNESCO World Book Capital in 2014. We competed against cities like Moscow and Oxford. In the area of healthcare, it is on record that our government built 140 health centers, and we employed a total of 400 medical doctors. When we came, there were only 200 doctors in the employment of the Rivers State government, and we had to employ 400 doctors. Anyone who visited Port Harcourt while we served will testify to the fact that we worked to bring back the old glory of Port Harcourt as the garden city and as the 3rd leg in the economic tripod of Nigeria. We built a dualized network of 1,500 kilometers of road, and they are there for people to see. 23 bridges, 2 major flyovers, and 2 interchanges. In the area of power, of the 350 megawatts total capacity generation assets invested by the government before ours, only 700 megawatts, an equivalent of about 20%, worked. So with enthusiasm, we ramped it up to 77%, and we introduced our own 360 megawatts of power, bringing us to a total of 750 megawatts of power by the time we left office. And this power was an example of the greenfield generation project at our farm. That massive investment is partly the reason why today residents in Port Harcourt enjoy nearly 24-hour power supply. On the whole, Mr. President of Senate, sir, I say with pride that during our stewardship of 8 years, we consistently maintained our pledge to our people to render transparent and accountable stewardship. Our government happened to be the first to introduce, as a state government, the public procurement law, by which all purchase should go through the public procurement. To guarantee that we did not deviate from that pledge, we are the first state to pass a fiscal responsibility law, and that is also on record. We adopted the fiscal responsibility law of the federal government, and the Rivers State public procurement law. Both laws stem from executive bills, and we are pleased that we maintain our stance of surrendering the power of the governor to award contracts until the end of our tenure. Mr. President of the Senate, sir, distinguished senators, it is therefore fair to say that under my leadership as governor of Rivers State, we redefined governance and repositioned Rivers State as a destination choice to live, work, and do business. Accordingly, Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished senators, I give you my word that if I'm confirmed as minister by this distinguished Senate, I bring to bear my vast experience as a legislator, as a speaker, and governor in the execution of my duties. Thank you very much.
Point of order.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I come under this one. My name is Gosio Nakpabio, by God's grace, the minority leader of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the A Senate. My point of order is under Order 43, and with the indulgence of the Senate President, I would like to read Order 43.
Read.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, the Senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate, that no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. My eyes, Mr. President, I don't intend to bring any controversial issue. And I want to take the indulgence to point out that the PDP senators and the caucus seated here will not have any question for the nominee, because we have just received the report of the public commission bordering on issues on fraud, corruption, and all sorts of things from the Senatorial Committee, and we are yet to look into this. We have not debated that report at all, and so we will have little or nothing to ask the nominee. Is that the decision of the PDP caucus? Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Nasif.
Thank you, Mr.
Point of order.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Mr. Chairman, my point of order is basically on order 53.9. 53.9. And by the position and by the grace of God that I occupy as the Senate leader, I want to guide the Senate properly. The committee report has been laid by a committee that we assigned to do the job of ethics and privileges. And the procedure is, after laying, we will make copies of that report. This is a confirmation hearing. It does not stop the confirmation hearing. But we are glad that you are saying that you are not asking the nominee question. We might as well, as the Speaker and the former governor, ask the nominee. Take a bow and go.
Order, please. Order, please. Distinguished colleagues, minority leader, you have not been recognized by the Senate President. Distinguished colleagues, order please.
Mr. President,
the leader has spoken. And by implication, the leader is saying that today, that the Senate should have a rule that every nominee should bow and go. The Senate,
Order, please. Please let the minority leader speak. Order, please.
What we said, Mr. President, please let me explain. Maybe the leader did not hear me well. We are not saying that you cannot ask questions. You can ask questions. But we are saying,
Order, please. Order,
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman,
It's good, your suggestion is good.
Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues, as I said, I raise two orders. One is my responsibility as the majority leader. Two, on that order that I raise. The gentleman you see here as a nominee is my responsibility to market him here before the Senate. You people that are given the privilege to ask questions, you said, no, I'm sorry, sir.
These people, you know these people. Who is these people? Who is these people?
Order the motion.
Who is these people?
Please put off your mind.
Leader, sit down.
You are saying who is these people?
Distinguished colleagues.
He has to withdraw that statement.
Distinguished colleagues.
Who are these people?
He has distinguished.
He has to withdraw the statement.
The minority.
Let him withdraw the statement.
Distinguished senators, distinguished colleagues, please, order. I think the Senate leader has already retracted that, so then let us, yes, he did, and I think I'm also saying on his behalf, so let us leave that.
has he apologized?
Minority leader, yes, he has retracted that. Now let us know, you, minority leader, got up to speak on behalf that he doesn't have any questions. That is fine. We've noted that. Now, as we agreed in our previous screening, or even early after the first case of senators who have come and gone, who have been here before, that there must be some kind of respect to senators or those who have served in the legislative arm. And we have always ensured that even for those, we would have some kind of dialogue. So let us meet and stick to those issues. So what I would suggest, I would direct is, as I was directing, I'd call Senator Nazif to speak if he has any comments or questions. And we just give him what we have always given to those who have served in the legislative arm of the government. And I think we'll maintain that consistency.
Order, please. Order, please.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Suleiman Nazif and I represent Bauchi North. Mr. Ministerial nominee, you're welcome to the Senate. Having been a former PA, SA, Speaker for 8 years, Governor for 8 years, DG presidential campaign that saw to the victory of the All Progressive Congress in Nigeria. Is that the move of the Senate?
Order, please.
That makes you a grounded politician, a politician who has had a very challenging career. Mr. Nominee, how can you tell the Senate, and indeed Nigerians, what advice do you have for upcoming politicians to hold on to their cherished views, beliefs, and ideals despite heavy political opponents and dangerous political enemies?
Senator Tayo Alashadua.
I'm not finished.
Oh, sorry.
Number two, you have been a grounded politician who has tested the legislature as well as the executive. This question is on behalf of all Nigerian ministerial nominees. Can you tell this Senate what is the merit and the demerit of sending ministerial nominees to the Senate from 1999 till date without portfolios? Nigerians have lamented, agonized, and it is fast becoming controversial. If you are confirmed as a minister, would you continue to suggest that ministerial nominees come to the Senate without portfolio? Are the executive making the work of the legislature easier by sending ministers without portfolio? Thank you.
Senator Danjuma Goje.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Mohammed Danjuma Goje, representing Gombe Central and Gombe State. As a former governor, like myself, and a governor of one of the oil producing states, there is this problem of you people want more allocation from federation account. In addition to the 13% reservation, amnesty, Ministry of Nigeria Delta. But whenever we ask you to account for what you get hostile. The one to is here, the two of you really led the fight. You don't want to account for what you get, but you want more. Now that you are living in Nigeria Delta, you are coming to the center. Do you still hold this view? Secondly, if you are confirmed as a minister, then if Mr. President decides to post you to the Ministry of Nigeria Delta, there is this controversial project, the East-West Road, which you have condemned the former minister, particularly Orubebe, for his inability to do that road. If you are posted to that ministry, what would you do differently to ensure that you complete that project? Thank you.
Tayo Alashadua.
My name is Senator Tayo Alashadua, representing Ondo Central at the Senate. I have only one question to the nominee, and the question borders on the fact that you were made the chairman of the governance room for the first time, and during the second time, there were a lot of controversies, and one of the people who contested with you at that period is here today as a senator. I want to know, sir, whether you actually believed that figure 19 is greater than figure 16. Thank you, sir.
Rotimi Amaechi.
Your Excellency, distinguished senators, the last question from Senator Alashadua is the most difficult one for me. Why I say it's the most difficult one is that I don't know what I will say that will annoy my colleagues and brothers on the side of PDP. When I woke up this morning, I woke up on the bright side as a Christian. I prayed and I sought to wear a cloth I've never worn before. So I wore this, believing that in the spirit of peace, I will answer questions that will be very peaceful. I will start with that question, even though I would like to jump to the first one after the last one. The Governors Forum acted as a check to executive recklessness. The Senate President was the chairman and aided with other governors who are here, including Goji and others, to make me the chairman of the Governors Forum for the first term, and it happened in Kwara. And we checked the excesses, including the expenditure of the oil subsidy. There is a case in court up till now stopping the federal government from drawing money from the federation account to fund oil subsidy. Because we believe that if we stop the federal government from drawing state and local government money, federal government will not be able to bear the cost and will therefore remove oil subsidy because of the level of corruption. Unfortunately, the case is yet to be heard. Then I think, and that's why I say it is linked to the first question. I think that the radical posture of the Governors Forum led to the former president asking me that I have turned the Governors Forum into a union. See, it's no longer Governors Forum, it's now a trade union. And all we are doing is defend the rights of the people of Nigeria and ensure that the money accruable to the country was judiciously utilized. I think the former president didn't like it, but he didn't like it. And when my tenure expired as a chairman, I was requested not to run for a second term. And I felt that as a Nigerian, I had the responsibility to exercise my rights as a governor. So I put myself forward for the election. And if you saw the forces against me, you will actually think that I will lose. Let me quote my brother, and in fact my elder brother and friend, Senator His Excellency Jan. He said that North-East Zone supported me, North-West Zone supported me, North-Central Zone supported me, South-South supported me, South-East supported me. So how did you win? You did not win, 16 versus 19. I said, but I won. I have the 19 votes. And the rest appears to be history. But the basic reason why that happened is because of the radical posture we took. Let me jump to the first question because it's quite interesting. The first question has been quite difficult in my political career. It's been quite difficult in my political career. The reason why it's been difficult is that I was born to test my rights and fight for my rights. I was once a student union leader, and believe me, if there's one man who doesn't like corruption, I don't like corruption. I had come here with a copy of the so-called panel report. There is nowhere the panel indicted me. Nowhere. Not the government white paper. I came with the report itself. Nowhere the report indicted me, and I'm ready to tender this report before the Senate. Nowhere, I repeat, nowhere it indicted me. I was ready for questions for it, and I brought the panel report so that the Senate will be opportunity to read the panel report and compare it or juxtapose it with the report of the white paper released by the government. However, because there are challenges, people in Nigerian politics believe that there is a need for compromise and able to manage yourself around. I will do that, but where it clashes with my principle, I find it a bit difficult to do what people expect me to do. So if you ask me to advise upcoming politicians, I will find it difficult because most politicians would like to survive. So because I don't do that line, I found challenges. October 25, the Supreme Court declared me governor. Don't forget that I faced a similar challenge like I'm facing now. I was chased out of the country to Ghana. My family was chased out of the country. We were living in one room with my children just because I stood for my rights. But God and the Supreme Court found it worthy to declare that I will be governor of Rivers State, and I became governor of Rivers State. We are back to the same October. The same October. Today is 22nd. I hope that before the 25th or on the 25th, this Senate will find me qualified to be the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I thank Senator Nafi for the question. Portfolio issue, it is a constitutional matter. You have powers to do whatever you want to do. The Attorney General in my former boss's government once told the governor, Dr. Peter Dele, whatever the institution says you are, that's what you are. If they say you're a woman, you are a woman. You may be like a man, but if they say you're a woman, you're a woman. So if the legislature wants ministers to be nominated with portfolio, then they should make that amendment in the Constitution. If it's not there in the Constitution, then the president can only apply his powers as allowed to him by the Constitution. Would I, as a former legislator, be happy? I'll be glad if I see a list with portfolios. That way everybody knows where it's going. For instance, you don't know where I'm going, so you don't know how to ask me about my expertise in education or my expertise in health or my expertise in Niger Delta like he did ask. That's my position on that. For my colleague and brother, my former colleague and brother, because now he's a senator and I'm not. I remember one day we had a conversation, Senator Goji and I. He came banging to my house and was very angry with me. And I said, after he finished shouting at me, I said, please, respect me, I'm the governor. He said, have you been a minister before? Have you been a senator before? So I'm pursuing his record. I want to be a minister now. After that, I want to be a senator. And I heard the story. He wanted the president to come to his state for campaign, and I was choked with the program. He didn't even know that behind him, I had canvassed for the president to go to Gombe, and I had put it on the program for the president to go to Gombe. I don't know who told him that I did not. So he came banging, very angry, and he had abused me enough, and I thought, I said, please respect me, I'm the governor. He told me, have you been a minister before? Have you been a senator before? I'm a senator of the Federal Republic. Even at that, I'm a senior governor. I say, yeah, a former governor. Okay, then, if you followed me after we visited Germany, you know that my views changed slightly. What was my former view? I believe that the resources are in the Niger Delta and their fair share is necessary. You shouldn't deny them that. That's why there is militancy. I believe that if you don't address social justice, the country will not be the same. When we moved to Germany and I saw how they raised their funds, I felt, therefore, that our dependence on these natural resources is unnecessary. And I believe that we should draw a poverty line. Any state that does not have, let's say for instance, that no state will collect anything less than 5 billion from the national revenue. If any state goes below 5 billion, all of us should contribute to make sure that state gets up to 5 billion. That's my new view. That's my new position on that. What was the answer? If I become Minister of Niger Delta, in fact, East-West Road is not just for Niger Delta. It's an economic road that leads to economic prosperity for Nigeria. If I become the Minister for Niger Delta, that will be the first road to be completed. Thank you very much.
I'm Shehu Sani, representing Kaduna Central. I acknowledge your contribution and sacrifice to the change revolution. But I have two questions for you. First of all, whatever you said here is listened to by millions of people within and outside of Nigeria. And whatever you said here will be in record for this generation and the future generations to come. I want you to, the first question is this. What is your recipe for peace between ministers and state governors? Yes, taking cognizance of the events in Rivers years ago, as you are going to be confirmed as a minister. And secondly, can you define from your own view what corruption is all about? According to Karl Klaus, he said prostitution is worse than corruption. The former endangers the morals of an individual, and the latter endangers the morale of an entire country. So can you, in your own view, define what corruption is all about? Thank you.
Senator Wonako.
The Senate President, my colleagues, the nominees. My names are Aliyu Magatakada Wamako. I hope you can remember that name. Represent the Central Constituency of Sokoto State. Thank you. Mr. Nominee, you're one of us who formed a pressure group as governors to go around the country meeting our elders and leaders, advocating for good governance, transparency, and rule of law. We also stood firmly on the belief that in the 21st century, Nigerians should stand that our diversity should be a source of strength and not otherwise. If eventually upon which I'm confident we are going to become, what will you do in your first 100 days? Set up an example of those of us in that group, that the unity we are yearning for, that the rule of law we believe in, that good governance where the Nigerians are yearning for, has really or is being realized by the new dispensations. Thank you.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Abdullahi Gumel. I represent Jigawa Northwest. I have one question which is political. I wanted to ask the nominee. As the Director General of the presidential campaign of APC, tell us the experiences you had when suddenly you sweep the PDP you swept the PDP from the leadership of this country. Please.
Senator Shafa.
Thank you very much. The Senate President, I am Senator Gbenga Shafa representing Lagos East Senatorial District. The whole country and indeed the world are watching us. And one salient question which should have been asked you, but up till now has not been asked, is the question I'm going to pose to you right away. In your earlier response, you did mention that there was a panel instituted by the present government of Rivers State. I believe it's a judicial commission. And from what we were reading in the papers, this commission indicted you on corruption, serious corruption allegations. And if we don't ask you that question, and you leave this hallowed chamber today, the whole world will ask us, what did we really do? I want you to expose the details of these corruption allegations so that your personality will further be known by all Nigerians, and if eventually you are confirmed as an honorable minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Nigerians will be happy that this is a very transparent, honest, and committed individual to that change mantra. Thank you very much.
Senator Abdurrahman Abubakar.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I have one question for Mr. Nominee, and the question has to do with the image of this present administration. This government we know is out for change. We have started witnessing the products of this change. But one worry, one area that I can easily talk about is, for instance, the issue of energy. We have enjoyed electricity in this country now for the past 4 months, more than we enjoyed over the last 20 years. So this is change, positive change. My question now, distinguished colleagues, my question now is, one worry that this government also has is the issue of massive unemployment. So if you are confirmed as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, how would you contribute? How will you bring your charisma to bear on the determination of this government, to reduce unemployment in this country and create better life for our citizens? Thank you very much.
Question, sir.
And thank you, distinguished senators. Let me start with the last question that was asked by Senator Abubakar. I hope that I will not be punished if I agree that there is change in the air. No, I agree that there is change in the air. There is absolute change in the air. That was what led me to joining APC, leaving PDP. Now, you've cited the example of power. You've not cited the example of executive impunity and recklessness. At least people can walk freely. As governor of Rivers State, I had no police attached to me. I think those ones have been taken care of now. When we deal with the issue of massive unemployment, we deal with the change in the economic mantra. The mono-economic situation that we have, monocropping economic situation that we have cannot survive. Nigeria cannot continue to be what we are if we continue to just rely on oil. For me, I agree with the president that there is a need to invest in agriculture. When we went to Germany, there was no natural resources that we met. Now, if we invest in agriculture and invest in technology, you would hire as many workers as possible. In the course of campaign, I discovered that in Borno, we were seeing watermelon that were grown naturally. If you plant just 100,000 hectares of watermelon in Borno, if you encourage it by disbursing funds to responsible farmers, and you have 100,000 hectares of farmland planting watermelon alone in Borno, you can be sure to engage more than 30,000 workers. You can be sure to engage more than 30,000 workers. If you do a similar thing around Kano and other parts, look at what crops can be suited in which area, and you encourage farmers with funding, because problem is the fund from the banks and the interest rate. So government must invest in that regard. If you do that, sir, you get employment. Did we do that in River State? The answer is yes. We established 2 farms. We established a farm for trading. We established a banana farm. And we employed the time I feel happy is when I go on inspection and I see men, women queuing up to be hired on daily basis. And they are paid on daily basis. I think that we must diversify the economy. Mining is another area that God has blessed us, that we need to do that. And we also need to invest in education, because some of these people are unemployable. We need to invest hugely on education. Did you do that in River State? Yes. For 4, 5, 6 years, our budget was highest in education in River State. So if this happens, sir, I think we will employ quite a large number of workers. Secondly, you must improve on what I call the social rights of the people. If you improve on social rights of the people, there will be peace. If you have peace, there will be investors. You must have power, whether we like it or not. If you don't have power, there will be no industrialization. If you don't improve on power supply, and I don't see the rocket science in power supply, I think we should just look at what the problems are and remove corruption and invest in power. And then you see as many people as possible that will have other forms of this. The reason why most people don't invest in Nigeria is that the cost of production in Nigeria by far outweighs the benefits you will make from your business. So Nigeria, I usually say that a Nigerian is a government on his own. He hires his own security, he has his own borehole, he has his own generator. So what is government providing? That's why government needs to do all this. And that is as it refers to you. Senator Gumel, that's a very difficult question to answer, my distinguished senator. Extremely difficult in the sense that I don't think that I'll be doing good to my colleagues and brothers. I was once in PDP, who are on this side, that we should be trying to explain to them how we manage to take PDP out of power. But key was that we sold to the public. We sold to the public the fact that there was massive corruption in the system and there was a need to fight that corruption. And the only way to fight that corruption is to put a new government. And we had to get a signpost candidate. The signpost candidate is a man who the Nigerian public have seen as an incorruptible president. And that's why the party had to put President Buhari forward. And we thought that we need to do things differently. I thought that as good as the former president may have been, I don't think he was suitable enough for the growth and development of Nigeria. So we needed to offer the opportunity to somebody we believe, and I believe that, is better than the former president. But I don't think we should go right on what happened. Let me thank you, Senator Ashafa. I repeated that I brought all the copies of the panel. I didn't bring the white paper. All the copies of the panel, I didn't bring the white paper. There is nowhere I was indicted. If the Senate President permits me, I'm ready to lay this on the table so that members can have opportunity of reading it. Nowhere that I was indicted. Now, you've asked me to define corruption. Corruption is very difficult to define. If you're a public officer and you don't take bribe, I have never taken bribe in my life. But if they send the girl to you and you sleep with the girl and do that favor, you are corrupt. But I don't know that. They think that corruption is only going to collect bribe. Corruption is a very wide concept. If people are competing for a position and you offer your son or your brother or sister an opportunity to hold that position, when the person is not qualified, you are corrupt. So it's difficult for me to define corruption, sir. I hope that I've been able to put things a bit the way I thought I should define it. Let me thank Senator Wanako. What will I do to ensure that when we talk about unity, diversity, good governance and all that, there must be consequence for actions taken by anybody. If we begin to punish people who disobey the law or the constitution, then we will keep our unity. Believe me, the truth is that the Ikure man in my village has nothing against the Hausa man in Sokoto. The fight is among the elites. And the fight among the elites is not because you're from Sokoto or I'm from River State. If you bring the money and me and you are sharing, we know you're from Sokoto, you know I'm from River State. What we know is the money. So the unity is there. It is the quarrel among the elites on the issue of power sharing and capital sharing. I think that's all, sir. No, you talk what's the recipe for peace between the governors. Again, it depends on both the governor and the minister. Some ministers get appointed, and if they were in the past, if they were nominated by their governor, suddenly form their own group and begin to fight the governor. And when they do it, they use what they call federal might. So the commissioner, I'll give myself as an example. I never saw my commissioner of police again until I left office for 3 years. For my director of SSS to come to my office or my house to see me by 12 midnight, he will wear face cap and put the front behind, hire a taxi and drive into my compound, whisper to me and run away. He will come in the taxi. The brigade commander is even the worst. I never saw my brigade commander. They hijacked him at the federal level. If we keep to the rule of law and take away impunity and allow a governor function as a governor, that will be it. Thank you very much, sir.
Taking questions about 11 senators and been with us now for 50 minutes. Is it the wish of the Senate that the nominee takes his leave now?
Yeah.
Mr. Nominee, you can take your leave.
You have followed it with this breathtaking session. There was this hype, there was this leap of, you thought the whole place was going to crumble when Akpabio stood up, and you thought, what is going to happen? What are the club of the PDP members going to do? How are they going to do it? How is Saraki going to manage it? And what did you see?
Oh, well, it was